It occurs to me there was a time when I said that CrossCode will never do the thing where it does something really stupid and then pokes fun at itself for having done something stupid. I don't know why I'm choosing this moment to remind you of that, it's just a thing that occurred to me. Then again, maybe having penguins on mountains isn't as high a game design crime as sending you on a really boring fetch quest. Big think.
I gotta say, it was really, really inconvenient to set up the office in the middle of the penguin enclosure.
Yeah, that snow must be absolute hell on the casters on that chair. Well, you know, it's funny, Sergey, because I was wondering why we get signed off and then have dreams and then immediately sign back on again. I mean, that seems like something that we should be asking about.
I mean, I feel like there's a slight difficulty in that process.
I mean, that is admitted, but, you know. We're working on it. God, I love Leah.
Do we have to go to Maroon Valley?
I'm afraid we have to go to Maroon Valley. Fortunately, at least one of us really likes it. We just have a tiny amount of stuff to attend to first.
Ah, I see, we're gonna harass the guild leader.
Of course we are. It's not like we can harass Emily right now.
Oh, I don't think that'll be a problem. I think she'll harass us for us.
I'll say this for Beowulf. He understands the purpose of being on a codec call. Turns out there actually is something to that guy. Oh well. Everyone else is offline. So I guess it's time for me to finally acknowledge the existence of that bridge. I don't know why I never see it. But it's been there this whole time. And apparently so is this guy. So yeah, I don't know what it is about the bridge that leads to this screen, but it seems to exist in my exact blind spot. Like, I never see it. I didn't go here until literally the point in the plot where you have to, where you're directed to it, and now I can see it. I don't understand how this bridge manages to hide from me.
I mean, it is kind of nondescript.
Also, this is still CrossCode, so there is an entire whole extra puzzle on this screen, and in order to get to that chest, we have to actually back out to another screen and go, like, almost to the shortcut to where the goat was again. And then just go in a different direction. Note that elevation change! Because that's the only thing that clues you into the fact that you can make that jump. God, I love this game. I know it sounds like I don't, but trust me, this is the only way for me to be able to really rationally process how I feel about this game.
Like, you see, if you tell yourself you love it enough, eventually you will, no matter what your true feeling.
Honestly, I'm kind of a little bit disappointed that there isn't some secret out here on this last ledge. Just seems like a little bit of a cop-out. Anyway, we now go directly from the ice place to the fireplace. Video game worlds. This is a whole new explorable area, you know how this works.
I mean, that's actually not all that surprising. I mean, half the time in video game worlds, the ice place and the fireplace are the same place, so...
I mean, it's literally in the lore of this game, like Crossworlds, that, like, the ice god and the fire god work together and made places, and there's just, like, ice and fire places. It's a whole thing. It's on brand. It's all to script. It's fine. They really did think of everything. And yes, we immediately start getting into this nonsense, although don't worry. There's gonna be an even weirder subversion of the usual exploration order later. Because this is CrossCode, and it never, ever, ever, ever gets off its bullshit. Seriously, I was half expecting there to be a second chest up here. But no, it's just that one.
I was gonna say, I'm more surprised there aren't two chests, frankly.
Yeah. Also, we briefly talked about the miner's helmet before, but that's what its actual stats do. It's got some all-round elemental resistance on it. It's got decent stats. It's pretty good, actually. Well, that just happened.
I mean, how could we not want to know?
I'm honestly surprised they put a fade out there. She should have just instantly appeared. You know, again.
Yeah, no, she was absolutely, like, waiting just off camera to be like, hey, Leah, did you enter Maroon Valley yet? Oh, no. Okay, hey, Leah, did you enter Maroon Valley yet?
Well, if she's gonna bug us, then we can bug her a little bit. I will never not do this. So anyway, yeah, even this full immersion quantum projection video game set in a simulated world on a real planet still does alien design like this, where it's basically just humans with some weird facial stuff. Video games will never change.
I mean, consider that you're asking the art directors of Crossworld to put in some actual effort, and I think you understand.
I mean, they pioneered an entire new kind of matter.
Okay, yes, but again, you're asking the art director to put in some effort.
That's fair enough.
Not the technology guru.
That's fair. Anyway, here's where all the traders are. Well, I say all the traders, it's basically just these two guys actually, but they have a decent amount of stuff. And like with the other two areas, they basically only deal in Maroon Valley stuff. By the way, do you remember this guy? This is actually the second time he's talked to us about the supposed cuteness of enemies.
I mean, I don't think there's anything cuter than a crab that is also a scorpion.
I can't actually remember if we see him again later. I don't know if these are the only two observations that he has to make. The other one, of course, everybody remembers, is in Bergen Village when he told us about the boss of Temple Mine, which, and I quote, was not cute at all. But that's because it was just an oversized claptrap. Anyway, we could have taken the jumping thing to get over here, but that's not the real game away. Oh well, let's fight. Fucking owned. It turns out that keeping up with the levels is a pretty good way to come into an area fully matched. Now these guys do actually have, you know, somewhat of an approach. They're a thing, they do stuff. Although normally it's not very difficult to fight them, but their deal is that every now and then they'll stick their tails into the ground, and the tail will track you through the ground. And you don't want to get hit by that, it'll do a lot of damage, but if you hit them a couple times while they're doing that, that's how you break them. It's also real easy to break these guys accidentally, but if they use their regular attacks, that will actually counteract you a little bit if you rush them, so you gotta, you know, actually be a tiny bit careful. They're not that much of a threat though.
Can't believe the game would deny us more of that Emily teen drama.
Oh, we'll be hearing more about that. Oh, by the way, that was another new enemy, but it died so quickly. I still have no idea how those guys actually work. I just know that you hit them like 5 times in the face and then they get broken. I think there's an attack that they try and do, or maybe it's actually they defend and they take little damage, but then you hit them a lot of times and it shield breaks them. I have no idea. I cannot stress enough that I have never actually figured out how you're supposed to fight those guys. I just hit them a lot and they die.
That's how I try to play RPGs. I don't really worry too much about what the enemy is trying to do, and I just stick with hit it until it dies.
Like, can you identify any of that? I hit it and it got broken. What did it do? Here's a bird.
Oh, fuck these things. Fuck these things.
Do you think they're called Volturbines or Volturbines? I don't really care, I just know the sound that they make when you perfect guard them and they just instantly die.
I assume you will at some point show what happens when you do not perfect guard them.
In what I think is possibly going to become a running theme in this and in the next 2 videos, I kind of quite like those enemies.
I don't know if it wasn't obvious. I am not a fan of this area.
It's come up. Well, we had to have this dynamic in place eventually, right? In any case, Maroon Valley is well, it's probably going to stick in a lot of players' minds. It's another one of those times when the developers start trying something. Autumn's Rise was pretty much just, here's the first explorable area, we're gonna flex a little bit, just do a couple things, but it's mostly pretty chill. Bergen Trail is when they started playing a lot with verticality. And there were a lot of areas where most of the time the puzzle was in parsing out what stuff was at what heights. That was pretty much it. Maroon Valley is when they start playing with this pretty intricate, layered routes through everything. They have all this stuff in parallel, and there's pillars everywhere, and there's a lot of jumping. And so much circumnavigation. So yeah.
So if it isn't obvious, the great thing about fighting these guys when you don't perfect guard them and instantly melt them is that they love to hide at the top of the screen. So like, when they're on ground level, you can just throw at them or punch them or whatever, and it works fine. But like, every time they gear up to attack or do basically anything, they will elevate, and all of your attacks will miss, and it's so much fun.
It's great. I mean, what you're then supposed to do is counter them when they come down, or, you know, just dodge and you can shoot them in the back as they pass. There's a bunch of stuff. They also have, you know, only half of their attacks actually do that. So, you know, you can just shoot them, but they're really good at making you mad. They're great trolls. Speaking of trolls, I managed to come at this landmark from the one angle that makes the tree fade out just as Emily comments on it, so maybe I really played myself on that one. But there's the tree. It's a nice tree.
I mean, this is a nice little oasis.
You can't have a desert map without an oasis, it's like the law.
I mean, there aren't any fake oases as far as I know, so, you know, 0 out of 10, try again.
Yeah, I am a little surprised that they didn't do just a tiny bit of mirage trolling. It would have been pretty appropriate, really. Now, one thing that Maroon Valley does have is like a million billion different kinds of plant. It's actually something like 15. There's these palm apples, and there's 2 different kinds of cactus, and there's 2 entire extra things that we're not even seeing yet. Because Maroon Valley is kind of big, and it has a lot of different sub-biomes in it, and it's just... there's a lot. Like CrossCode itself, Maroon Valley is just kind of a lot. Sorry, this is later quest content. Now, we're going a little bit off of the recommended course here, but yeah, this suits my purposes. We're gonna need to eventually explore most of this anyway. So I figured let's just do the rounds. Seriously, there are so many plants here. I had to spend like 20 minutes in an off-camera session after recording the next couple of videos just rounding everything out. Fortunately, we have the straw hat, which helps a lot with getting those drops. And yeah, we're into peak video game design here.
So you should be able to jump down that waterfall.
Yeah, there should be stuff in those holes. There should be like the one hole that doesn't kill you, but actually it has a secret in it. Maybe there is that, but only after you circumnavigate the entire area twice and just nobody's done it yet.
I mean, I feel like in a game like this, surely there must be some guild, like the Cartographers Guild or some shit like that, who have made it their express purpose to map the entire world, and thus are committed to throwing themselves down every single pit just in case.
Yeah,
Like, I refuse to believe that that is not the case.
I would not question that for a second, were it ever to be brought up in game. It would just be too perfect for this kind of production. And that jump really looks like it shouldn't have been possible, but... CrossCode. Keep telling you.
Ah, so now I see we can finally stealth kill.
Yep. And, you know, make a pretty bargain basement reference at the same time. This is a pretty good weapon. It has a lot of focus, and it's got that bullseye skill on it, which makes your crits do even more damage. And yes, focus is the stat that makes you get more crits. And I guess I should, you know, remind everybody that focus is also the stat that governs how much SP you get per hit during combat. And just for good measure, it's got 10% scope on it. Hidden Blade is really good if you want to do the kind of tricky attacking build. Oh boy. So here's this thing. It's called Tim. You might notice that it has a fairly hefty resistance to fire. And you might think that that means you shouldn't use fire on it. But here's the thing. Setting it on fire is how you break it, and when you break it, it completely changes its moveset. Does not actually change its stats. Look, here they are, they're still the same. So it likes to shoot out single rocks at you, but when you set it on fire, it shoots out 3 burning rocks at a time, and the burning rocks will set you on fire. But also it just takes a lot more damage, because it's broken, and it stays broken.
The other great thing about this arrow gun, we'll talk about that in a second, but just as a point of reference, the sandstorm effect that's now kicked in, yeah, Switch doesn't like that.
Yeah, this area's a little bit painful in the console ports. So here's these sand shark skeletons. A lot of people really don't like them, and I don't understand why, because they charge at you and just immediately die when they charge at you. Like, you just shoot them in the face. And that's that. Or sometimes you mess it up and that happens. I guess that's a little bit annoying.
Oh, and you know, aside from the bit where they spend like 80% of their time in battle either under the ground where you can't hit them, or up in the air about to attack you where you can't hit them.
Well, 2 things, I guess. When they're up in the air and about to attack you, that's pretty much a guaranteed counter chance coming up. But also, you can still hit them when they're not, like, literally underground, but when they're in their, like, their underground phase. They jump a lot. And if you hit them with a charged shot at the peak of one of their jumps, it will instantly stun them. Now that sounds pretty difficult to do, but it's surprisingly easy. You just gotta try your luck. Just keep those shots bouncing around. You will not believe how quickly you manage to hit those guys. Where they do get really annoying is when you're fighting a lot of them at once, and also when they're aggroed on Emily rather than on you, because that makes them behave a little bit less predictably. Here's another perfectly regular object. Emily does comment on those, by the way. I don't know why she didn't this time. It happened in one of their boring out-of-camera bits that I'm not going to show. But she does comment on them.
Why do we even care about that? I've already forgotten. I'm sure it's for some kind of quest.
Oh, we actually have no idea at this point. I mean, I can exclusively reveal that those aren't actually for anything, they're just for an achievement. there's an achievement for observing all of the perfectly regular things. It's not actually part of any quest.
That seems remarkably restrained for this game.
I mean, the achievement is a reference to the Diablo cow level. Like, what have I told you about this game and restraint? It's a good time. So yeah, you might be noticing that Maroon Valley has a lot of switches that open up a lot of shortcuts. It's really the Dark Souls... No, I'm not going to do that. But seriously, it does have a lot of shortcuts that you can open up behind you. It's a very sprawling area, but you can seriously untangle it once you've explored it. And I highly recommend doing that before you start on any of the quests here. Just makes your life that little bit easier. The other thing with these Tim guys is that setting them on fire is very helpful, but you really want to change out of fire mode once you've actually got them broken, because they are resistant to fire damage. So once they're broken and you're hitting them with fire damage, you're still not really capitalizing on that. You want to switch back to neutral. And I forget this constantly. And I guess one actual valid reason for not liking sharks is that they're like the snowmen in Bergen Trail. They will auto-aggro on you sometimes. There's hitting them with a shot, by the way. Like, I'm not kidding, just try your luck. Just have shots bouncing around. You will get them. There's a lot of times when I'm fighting these guys that I pull off these shots that seem like insane skill shots, but that's only because I've taken like a million billion shots. You just try your luck, man. See, it's funny because spam is what we're doing in the game. We're just blanketing everything with shots. I'm sure this is totally deliberate thematic work. So yeah, if there is a quintessential Maroon Valley mood, it is standing here in one of these spots, looking at a switch up on a ledge, and trying to figure out how the hell you get up there. Or more importantly, which of the million billion other screens you're supposed to start from in order to get up there. I like to snark a lot about liking this place when a lot of people seem to hate it, but like, you know, being entirely serious, I can totally understand how this place can irritate the shit out of people. I just also happen to personally love it. What can I say?
Well, I suppose to each their own. We will do our best not to judge the wrong opinions.
We will acknowledge that they are the wrong opinions, though. We just won't judge them. That's how this works, right? So yeah, there's like 5 sharks on this screen. I'm like, just... yeah.
I feel like a better response to that would have been, the invite was sent to my spam folder, rather than, nah, actually, sorry, I was busy playing video games all night.